Alright everyone, we're all settled in again after the prep for meet. We had a really great time, met some really awesome people, some old friends, new friends. It's just brilliant. Whilst we were there, we picked up a commission for a little repair job on an old lead working knife. I thought it's kind of a bit of a weird knife. I thought it'd make an interesting video. So here it is. When we got it, it was more or less all like that. I've given this side a quick going over. And that side as well. You get it nice and flat, so when we polish it, it comes up like a mirror, like knives are supposed to be. Right, so I've flattened it all off as best I can really. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to put it on the polishing wheel and just try and get it to shine. Alright, that's come up quite nicely on the polishing wheel. I'm just going to go over it with auto solve. And that should bring it up really nice. Would help if I plugged it in. Right, I've polished it up. On the camera it looks pretty shiny, but there's actually quite a lot of blemishes in it. Don't know if you can see it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to call it a day today because it's 10 past 10. And then I'm going to keep polishing it tomorrow until it's nice and shiny properly. Morning. It's a lovely sunny day outside, so it's making the lighting really bad in here. I'm going to crack on with that knife. I'm going to polish it all again until it's nice and shiny properly. Right, there we have it. I'll polish the blade up like a mirror. I'm sort of waiting now for the special wood for the handles, so I have to put it on the rack for the time being, I think. Alright, so we just received in the post the new scales for the knife. I believe it's olive. I've never worked with olive before.
Nor even Popeye.
Neither is the old timer. So we'll see how it comes out. The one problem we've got is the spine. The spine isn't straight. It sort of follows the full flat profile of the blade. So we're going to have to piece a bit in.
Just working on the angle now.
It's quite new to us that the table on the bandsaw actually tilts. I never knew that before. Right, so we've cut all the pieces in to make it work. This handle's made up of 5 bits of wood because of the funny shape of the tang. And I think we're going to change a couple of the holes in the tang, make them a bit bigger, and then get the handle on properly. But we've got the olive, I think it was, mahogany, more mahogany, and then the same on the other side. You can tell that's hard. Right, so what we're doing, we're gluing the mahogany to the olive, and when that's set we'll be able to drill the holes in it.
Well, today we're carrying on with the refurb of the old lead dresser's knife, turning it into a splitter. Really interesting project. 5-piece laminated handle scales, and it's a challenge. At the moment I'm just setting the pins out, and they'll all go into these drilled holes, and then I can grind it. But it's really been a mathematical challenge. Right, that's the three holes drilled on one side of the scales. With a bit of luck, the other three will line up pretty good as well. Oh, there they are, pins all punched in. I can't tell you what a bottom clenching exercise that was. It could have all gone wrong. There's the little insert. As you can see, it's triangular. It makes up for the triangle tang on the original knife blade. All this has now got to be glued together and then shaped. I am so glad to have got that out of the way. Could have gone all so wrong, and I did it all without the help of my son. Well, there it is, all ready for its varnish coats to go on there. It's been rubbed down, smoothed out. Looking forward to varnishing it. There's that stabilised knot. I think it's quite an effective little feature in there. Lanyard holes have been chamfered. Yeah, looking forward to seeing how the colours pop out, the dark wood against the light wood. Right, I'll show you the difference in the next part of the video. Catch you in a bit. Right, I've wet the leather. I've wet the leather, and as it's soaking, you begin to put the first fold in it, and it makes it easier to do the second part of the process. There's the knife clamped in the put in the plastic, and that will keep the blade from rusting when it's all clamped into the leather. I'll show you the next section where I use the chopping boards and the clamps, and she's all clamped up and drying. Right, there it is, it's all clamped up. Very important that you get both of your clamping plates in the same place. That will give a nice throat to the sheath. It's also very important that you get your edges that you can't see now lined up before you clamp it. Makes life a lot easier later on when you're marking out for your stitch grooving. This is now going to go and sit around boring itself senseless for a day till it's all dried. It will come out the clamps, and I can work out where I've got to put the gusset in here, work it in with the gusset down the seam lines, and then I can get ready punching and grooving and sewing. It's all going the Wolf's Head Bladesmiths. Catch you later. This is where we're up to today. This is the lead dresser's knife that wanted to be turned into a small wood processing knife. A very nice edge on it now. There's the complicated laminate handle that had to be made because of the triangular tang that's in there. Come out right. So today we'll be finishing off the sheath. Got the main body of the sheath. As you can see, it's got the stitch grooves around it. This will need to be punched and drilled. Internal gusset. These are the two welts parts of the gusset that make the handle housing there. Widens it up and accentuates the wet formed shape. I don't like to make a handle out of the belt loop out of a continual piece of leather. I like to use a separate piece of leather that will be fixed on there like that. So we've got to turn these pieces into one piece, get the leather waterproofed inside, wet leather stained, and then all glued and stitched up. Then I can put it in the post. Happy days. I'll show you the next stage after I've punched the stitch holes in the main body of the sheath. Right, here we are again. This is the sheath marked out with the stitch forks. Now personally I only like to go in lightly and use them for marking out. What I do after I've marked them out, I then drill the holes, because believe you me, it makes stitching so much easier. You only have to be a fraction out, and your needles have a hell of a job getting through. I use a 2mm drill, because when you've put the coats of stain on the leather does swell, and these holes go a lot less noticeable. So I'm going out to do the other side and then fix the gussets and so forth, and I'll show you the next stage. Right, well here we are at the stage. We've got both sides marked out and drilled, got the belt loop marked out, and I don't know if you can see in the video, but there's a little bit of glue just going off on there. That's so I can glue it to that in place and then drill through for the stitching. I'm then going to glue that, which is the first full length gusset, to go in there, and then I'll drill through from one side so all the stitching matches up nicely. It's an endless task. Right, I'll show you what comes next. Well, here we go. I've sewed the first part of the belt loop on. That big glob of thread is heated and melted and then pressed down so it forms like a rivet. When that closes over the top of it, it will be hidden. Also, you can now probably see the gusset piece, which has had the two chamfered points down glued to it. That fits in there, and it allows the throat to remain open to make the knife fit snug. And you won't have to push it in like a loony or tug it out with the sheath flying everywhere. So next thing to do is glue that down, drill the holes through excuse me, and drill the belt loop in, sew the belt loop in place. Today is turning out to be a very much sewing day. It's got its stitch in now. The threads heated and pushed down to make like a little rivet so it can't slip. Got to clean the leather off before we stain it, and I've run the grinder over the welt so it's all nice and flush. Right, clean it off and then I'll put the stain on. Right, got the stain on the knife all coloured in there. Now what we've got to do is put some wax on it, a wax coat which will obviously waterproof it in bits and add to the coats that we're going to use to put on top to give it a nice shine. So I use this wax because it soaks in as well as coating. More usually used for woodwork, but I get some very nice results with it on leather. Doesn't take very long at all to soak in. I'd rather the wax soak in than water soak in. Make sure that you fill up the stitch holes. So this is only like the second part of the process. There's quite a few polish coats to go on after this, which usually makes the knife really pop, the knife sheath really pop. Make sure you get it in all of the stitch groover holes, all back down behind the tucks. Don't skimp on it.
Well, there we have it. It just needs to be polished now, and it's sorted.
Get over a little bit, brace your stress.
Why am I getting dressed up?
But you wear something a bit special for your wedding.
Oh, I'm sure there's something more that will do.
That blue one. So all the sleeves that you wore when I first took you out.
Well, there it is, all finished. The finished sheath, all ready to go off. All nicely stained out. I think they come out quite well.